So yeah, not much Lions talk here since it's the off season, but since I think it's come around, off season's gone long enough, and I think all my moves have been made the last couple of weeks or so. I think now is a good time to go through the Lions off season and recap everything that happened this off season before we head into the draft within 3 weeks. Yeah, we're within three. Yeah, we're like less than 3 weeks away from the draft. The draft is 3 weeks from now. But yeah, anyway. And of course, stay tuned till the end of the video because I will be reviewing my 2024 NFL draft plans for that whole week. But yeah, before we get into the moves, though, we do got to go over a number of rule changes because it can't be an NFL offseason without rule changes. So, of course, the big rule change that came in the offseason was the most controversial one, with the NFL choosing to ban the hip drop tackle. And the NFL Players Association was pissed about it. But in the end, NFL says that whatever the NFL says goes. And the NFL will push their agenda no matter how many people try to push it back. All I say to the NFL is, if you're going to fucking ban tackling, then take the fucking pads off and just make it flag football. We all know Roger Goodell wants to fucking do it there. I say just do it now and get it over with, since Roger Goodell is a clueless anti-football pussy. But yeah, Lions fans, when the Lions get burned on a 70-80-yard touchdown this year, don't blame the coaching staff, don't blame the players, don't blame Campbell or Brad Holmes. Blame the NFL for making it so impossible for the players to fucking tackle. Fuck's sakes. Also this season, the roughing the passer and intentional grounding are now reviewable calls from the booth. I don't know. I have a weird feeling about that one, and that one's going to be poorly enforced and poorly done. And it's just going to create as much controversy as when they reviewed pass interference. I think it's going to end up like that. And also, NFL has changed the kickoff rules. They will be adopting the XFL, UFL kickoff rules that we've seen in the XFL and now the UFL. Which, hey, I feel like the kickoffs were kind of needed to be changed because all the kickoffs have been recently, the last few years, have been nothing but touchbacks with the kicks going straight to the end zone. And also with the kickoffs also, you're no longer allowed to call for a fair catch. You actually have to return the ball. But now the interesting part is if it goes in the landing zone and rolls into the end zone for a touchback, instead of the 25, a touchback can now go from the 25 to the 30-yard line. So, hey, I'm all right. So, yeah, and also special teams now means something now, especially with kick and punt returners. And the last couple on kick rule changes, we also have onside kicks. That rule has been changed. You can now only attempt it in the fourth quarter, and it can only be attempted when you're trailing in the game. And you have to declare it ahead of time. And with that, any element of surprise from the onside kicks goes completely out the window. Like that just well, and there goes the element of surprise there. And also, one of the rule changes the Lions proposed did get approved, which was the change rule with in terms of the third challenge. Because with the third challenge, for anyone that doesn't know, if you win your first 2 challenges, you get a third challenge free. The NFL has now changed that rule to now, if you win one of your 2 challenges, you get the third one. You get a third one free. You get awarded with a third one. And also, the NFL has also announced that along with playing some international games in Brazil and Spain this season, with Brazil being a home game for the Eagles, the NFL has also announced they will play 2 games on Christmas this year. And Christmas falls on a Wednesday. And we're going to hightail it out here on the Christmas one because Marco Averis is going to be fucking pissed when he finds out that the NBA has to share their holiday with the NFL. The NFL stops for nothing. So yeah, with the NFL playing on Christmas, with 2 games on Christmas, NBA fans are punching the air right now along with Adam Silver because now the NBA's got to share the holiday with the NFL. Oh, you think that's bad? Just wait until the NHL decides to put a game or 2 on Christmas. And then the NHL joins in on the party. But yeah, those are all the rule changes for the offseason. Honestly, for the Christmas one, pay attention to that one because there's a good chance this season the Lions might be playing on Christmas this year. We'll have to wait and see on that one because that's the part of the season where the schedules from there on out are really TBD. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on the Christmas one. But yeah, that's all the rule changes for this season. Now let's get into the actual offseason itself. So of course, the Lions offseason is a very interesting one, where the Lions exceeded a lot of expectations last year, winning their first division title in 30 years, their first playoff game in 32 years, making the NFC Championship game and coming 1 or 2 plays short of making the Super Bowl for the first time ever. So the Lions' goal this offseason is to get back to the NFC Championship game this year and to finish the damn job this time. Not only that, not only finish it, but win the Lombardi at the end of the day. Of course, the Lions, they end up losing some key pieces from last year, mainly Teddy Bridgewater retirement, Josh Reynolds because the lights got too bright for him. Everyone says that was the toxicity of fans using Reynolds as a scapegoat because of the 2 drop passes in the NFC Championship game. I mean, at the end of the day, he should have been able to drop that, but I mean, Lions fans weren't really that toxic at all. Like, he wasn't really the main reason why the Lions lost that game. It was part of the reason, but there were multiple reasons why the Lions lost the NFC title game. And it was also Jonah Jackson because Jonah wanted to chase the bag in free agency. Let's be honest, there was no way the Lions were going to afford him and pay that price for him. Also, it was other pieces like Halapoulivaati Vitae, Romeo Okwara, Benito Jones, Kim Sun, which we'll talk about later. And then also losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson because C.J. Gardner-Johnson wanted a starting job and he wasn't getting that in Detroit because we're pretty set on safeties in the secondary with Kirby Joseph, Ivatu Melifonwu, and Brian Branch. And also losing Tracy Walker with Walker leaving because, well, we're pretty set on safety, so Walker's expendable. But there were some pieces that did need to be added in the offseason. A lot of areas needed to be addressed. Mainly, the first thing they addressed was the guard position that was vacated by Jonah Jackson. Bringing in Kevin Sider from the Ravens, who was honestly an upgrade over Jonah Jackson. Very great guard, one of the top guards of the league. So that's a really good move there. They also bring in Marcus Davenport, who has a lot of familiarity with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn from their days in New Orleans. They also bring in DJ Reader from the Bengals. Don't worry, Dashy, I'm not gonna rub it in on you, but yeah, that's gonna be a big piece on the D line to bring in DJ Reader. The Lions were so keen on bringing him in that they weren't even gonna let DJ Reader leave the building until they had a deal. They didn't even book him a return flight home. That's kind of funny, but I think that just shows how much the Lions wanted him that bad. It was simply that Booty Warriors scene from the Boondocks where Campbell and Holmes were like, "Now, DJ, I tell you what, we like you and we want you. Now we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours." And he chose the easy way. Well, okay then. And of course, the big thing though was the secondary, because the secondary was a very hot mess last year. Especially with how many big plays they gave up last year. Well, they re-signed Kendall Vildor, brought him back, but they needed to make some upgrades in the secondary. As they were able to sign Emmeek Robinson from the Raiders on a great deal, and the Raider fans and Raider fans were sad about losing Emmeek Robinson because he was a big part of the Raiders secondary last year, the fan favorite. So, don't worry, Raider fans, we'll take good care of him. And then the Lions made a big move by trading for Carlton Davis from the Buccaneers for a 3rd-round pick. And the 3rd-round pick they gave to the Buccaneers was the one they acquired from the Eagles last year in the DeAndre Swift trade. And honestly, any other upgrades to the secondary will most likely be made in the draft. Probably with Kool-Aid McKinstry. But we'll talk about the draft talk later. But yeah. But yeah, that's really all the other moves they made. Other than a couple re-signings, bringing back Graham Glasgow on a team-friendly deal, and bringing back Donovan Peoples-Jones, as well as with Josh Reynolds gone. Donovan Peoples-Jones might get more of a role in the offense this year, so we might be able to see more of his potential, which was what led to the Lions acquiring him at the deadline last year. And Graham Glasgow, of course, really helped shore up that O-line, since Glasgow was a really underrated signing last year, and he was able to regain his form that he had back in Detroit before he was forced out by Quinn Tricia. So yeah, that's good there. So yeah, good that they brought Graham Glasgow back. But overall, Lions made some pretty solid moves here. But of course, as we all know, the real work for the Lions, the real bread and butter, the real reasons we say let Brad Holmes cook, damn it, is the draft. They made their key moves here. Keep in mind, for anyone who wants to question these moves, just remember, this approach is how the Lions got to the NFC Championship game last year, and why the Lions are where they are right now, and why they're primed to be great for the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, they made their moves here to plug in some holes, and the rest will be most likely addressed during the draft. Like, they definitely need an edge rusher for sure, and a couple other things. But yeah, I think that about wraps up all the free agency moves there for sure. And of course, this offseason, there can't be an offseason without some sort of drama. Well, outside the media thinking that last year was Detroit's one and only shot. Oh, the only thing I gotta say to the media, there's two things I gotta say to everyone in the media that says that, and any Lions fans that said that last year was Detroit's only shot, and that this is gonna be a repeat of 1991 all over again, where Detroit's going to fall out completely. All I say to them is, A, Detroit versus everybody, and 2, anybody that doubts the Lions doesn't fucking know the Lions. But of course, other than that, though, the other drama we had was from C.J. Gardner-Johnson after he left to go to Philadelphia, where C.J. took shots at Lions fans, say that him and Jameson Williams were the only people in the streets in Detroit, and nobody else came out because they were afraid to. I think he's referring to those two being the only ones that showed up to Detroit sporting events. Yeah, J-Mo, well, we all know about J-Mo at that Red Wings game last year. And in terms of C.J. Gardner-Johnson saying that, we all know that's complete horseshit because Aiden Hutchinson and Ben Johnson were both at Red Wings games before, throughout the season, so that's complete horseshit. Like, honestly, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's just being completely fucking delusional again for no fucking reason. Honestly, this is why the fan base wanted him gone after the NFC Championship game. He's just a fucking clown. And all I say to C.J. Gardner-Johnson is, you better perform in Philly. You better perform in Philly, because if you thought Detroit fans were bad, oh ho ho, you're in for a rude awakening. All I say is Desert Eagle 90. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's your problem now. But yeah, and honestly, I kind of feel like a dumbass defending him last year and doing that whole ski mask thing. But hey, good riddance. Good riddance, nothing of value lost there. Plus, we're kind of set on safeties anyway. But yeah, and of course, the other drama here is the Lions didn't really have a necessary need at corner, until Cam Sutton decided to be a dumbass and play GTA in real life. Mainly strangling his girlfriend and then throwing her out the window of a 3-story building, off the balcony of a 3-story building. And yeah, that got him an instant 3-star wanting level, and well, oh fuck. Keep in mind, these events happen about a week or two or so after Cam Sutton agreed to a contract restructure that would have gave him at least $10.5 million guaranteed. And keep this in mind, Cam Sutton literally threw a guaranteed 8-figure season away because he got in a disagreement with his lady. And the worst part about this arrest warrant thing is that he was in the Lions practice facility at Allen Park when the warrant was addressed. And of course, yeah, there was no way the Lions could keep him as he was immediately released. They'll take the dead cap, but They'll take the dead cap, but I think the NFL is probably most likely going to indefinitely suspend Cam's son before this, and if they suspend him over this whole arrest allegations, the whole thing, the whole domestic violence thing, then the dead cap the Lions would have got for Cam's son would be automatically null and void and be off the books completely. And also, you know that $10.5 million Cam's son had guaranteed? Because of this, that whole guaranteed money is now null and void. So really, the dead cap kind of doesn't really mean anything. I do think the Lions are going to go sign a veteran corner, and if in offseason, you know, whether they go trade for Marshawn Lattimore or if they go sign someone like Stephon Gilmore, I think they'll do that after the draft or probably around OTA's trading camp. Which, oh, by the way, OTA start in May, and the first day workouts begin April 15th, with the mini camp June 4th through 6th. So, and Cam's son did finally turn himself in. All I say to Cam's son is I hope he does get the help he needs. Because he definitely needs some help. Because mental health issues are a real thing. Man, can the Lions go one fucking offseason without some sort of fucking drama or bullshit, whether from themselves or from the fucking media? Or just some players being fucking clowns? God damn it. Okay, so now it's time to talk about what I think the Lions might do at 29. I mean, the Lions at 29, they can go a lot of different routes at 29. They could go receiver, they could go corner, they could go edge rusher. Hell, they could go guard. Or there's always that possibility where they could trade down from 29 out of the first round to someone that possibly wants back in and acquire some more picks in day 2 of the draft. I mean, it's really hard to tell what the Lions are going to do at 29 because so much could literally happen within the first 28 picks of the draft. Like, because the draft is such a fucking total crapshoot and everybody's draft boards are different. Like, the Lions can go a lot of different routes, but even after the Cam Sunday, the Brad Holmes already said that it hasn't really changed their approach there and that they're looking to take best player available at 29. I mean, most draft rumors, though, you got to take it with a grain of salt because there are times where some teams will throw some smoke screens and try and throw everybody off to hide what they're actually going to do at the draft. I mean, it could look like it could be corner because they did have Kool-Aid McKinstry in for a visit here. Kool-Aid's been rumored to go around Detroit's pick at round 29. I'll be honest, I think the Lions will probably have to trade up for Kool-Aid if they want to get him. Like, I'll be honest, if you want to know what I think Detroit does at 29, I think they're going to trade up. I think they trade up a couple spots in the early to mid-20s to get a corner or receiver. I think it's going to be one of those two. I don't know I think they can address guard in round 2. Like, I think Detroit's trading up. I have a feeling Detroit's going to trade up. I think they're going to make a move. Like, I think there's a player Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell really like, and I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure he gets to get him. And I feel like the player they want to get, I don't think he's going to be there at 29. I think they're trading up. All I say is it's going to be an interesting draft night in Detroit 3 weeks from now. Like I said, the Lions can really go a lot of different routes, and to be perfectly honest, there's really not really a pick they could do that would really piss me off like last year, even though the Jahmyr Gibbs pick did work out well. But yeah, I really feel like there's really nothing Detroit could do that really fuck this up. Like, it's really a pick I feel like Detroit really can't fuck up here. So yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see what happens in the draft. I mean, we kind of already know what's going to happen with the first 2 or 3 picks. Like, really, I think the draft really begins around number 4. Around number 4 or 5. I mean, it only begins at number 4 if Arizona trades down. Because I always say it could begin at number 4 because there's question about if Arizona will trade down or not. Or if Arizona stays at 4 and take Marvin Harrison Jr. Because it's pretty obvious Chicago's going to take Caleb Williams at number 1. And I feel like Caleb Williams is going to be a bust with Chicago. I mean, for fuck's sakes, Caleb Williams is already rubbing Bears players the wrong way in the locker room. with how he carries himself. And the motherfucker hasn't even been drafted yet. Like you want to know how you know the Bears are going to fuck up Caleb Williams so bad? When he's already rubbing the Chicago locker room the wrong way before even getting drafted by the Bears. Good Lord, what a shit show in Chicago. But yeah, like honestly, in terms of the division this year, it's going to be a little more competitive than last year. But to be honest, I'm not worried about Chicago or Minnesota. I think those two are going to be competing for the basement in the North. Like, the only team I'm concerned about in the North this year is the Packers. I think it's between Detroit and Green Bay for the division. And I'm confident Detroit can edge out Green Bay for that division. But yeah, I think that about wraps up the draft talk there. Everything that needs to be addressed there. Alright, now to wrap this up, we're going to talk about my plans for the 2024 NFL Draft. Usually the tradition I've had every year since 2018 is I've always done reactions to round 1 of the draft, where I've always reacted to the draft picks, you know, watched it live on TV. But of course, this year's a lot different, because this year, the draft is in Detroit this year in downtown. And if everyone knows, and for anyone that doesn't know, in terms of draft reactions this year, there will be no draft reactions. And the reason why, it's because I will be at the draft this year. Yes, I will be in downtown Detroit for the draft for all 3 days. And oh, by the way, I am vlogging all 3 days, so I will be vlogging for the draft this year. There will be 3 vlogs coming out for the draft. So yeah, effectively this year, the vlogs this year are the draft reactions. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting, because there's been a rumor going around that the only thing I can vlog nowadays are NASCAR races and IndyCar races and shit. Well, all I say is it's time to put that narrative to bed. But yeah, I will be at the draft all 3 days. I will be there in person, raising hell. I hope to be around a shitload of Lions fans at the draft. All I say is this draft's going to be interesting, because I'll be honest, I think this draft is going to be the fucking loudest Roger Goodell ever gets booed in his entire life. Considering how much the One Pride, the All Grit Nation, fucking hates Roger Goodell. Mainly because Goodell is a clueless anti-football pussy. But that's beside the point. But yeah, it'll be an interesting Thursday. It'll be interesting Thursday the 25th. And it's the first time I've ever attended the NFL draft, so I'm looking forward to it. For anybody that wants to know how to attend the draft, well, for the draft, it's a free event. But you have to register on NFL Plus because you get a little QR code and all that shit that gets you the draft. It also gives you schedules for like autograph signings and all that stuff. So yeah, and schedules for player appearances at certain areas or whatnot. Even a little map of all the fan festivities there, because I believe the entire fan festivities is taking part down Woodward Avenue. And it's going to be shut down to Hart Plaza, all that stuff. Like, around where the Spirit of Detroit statue is and where the Joe Louis fist is. So, yeah, going to be very interesting. But I will be at the draft all 3 days. So, yeah, if any of you see me at the draft on, like, night 1 of the draft, I'm most likely going to wear my half-blue, half-white Barry Sanders jersey and have the Detroit Lions chain. I don't think I should bring the belt. But yeah, I definitely have the chain. I will be there. So yeah, if you see me at the draft, don't feel afraid to say hi. You know, I don't bite, and I'll say hi back. I'll have a talk with you all. Who knows? You may all end up in the vlogs. But yeah, that will be there. So yeah, that's all coming up in the end of April. So yeah, that's all my draft plans for this year. For the first time on this channel, there will be no draft reactions this year. Because I'm vlogging at the fucking draft. The vlog effectively will be the reactions to what happens. But yeah, I mean, the draft, it's an experience that you should all be able to attend at least once in your lifetime. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that will be coming up at the end of April. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hope everyone's a great day. In terms of Lions content, not that much left coming out. Like, I got like 3 more draft previews left to do. And then, of course, we got the vlogs at the end of the month for the draft. But anyway, that'll wrap it up here. 3 weeks to the draft. I'll see you all there in Detroit. See you all in Detroit April 25th. I'm out.